why you should be refinancing on a Burr type strategy. All right, guys, we're going to talk about this refinance. We're going to talk about Burrs. This is a fantastic question that I frequently get asked. I really appreciate the question. Keep them coming. If you have a question and you'd like me to create a video just like this one, all you've got to do is type it in the comments below. Super excited. I am sporting one of our Flippin' Legends DHM shirts. If you'd like to get a copy, or if you'd like to get one of these, all you gotta do is attend my live cast Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and you can enter to win. We do give away a shirt every single week. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. The whole strategy with Burr is how you can get into rental properties for as little as possible with your cash. Because the less money you have into it, the better that return is. So for example, if I put no money into a property, I have no money invested, I just have my time, my return is infinite, meaning there is no end, beginning or end as to the return that I'm getting. Because if I have no money into it, but I'm making $5,000 a year, my return on investment is $5,000 for putting no return. It's an infinite return, meaning it's never ending, right? Because I didn't have any cash into it. So the whole deal with the Burr is basically what I want to be doing is getting into properties for as little to no money as possible for a rental property. So this is how the strategy works. First off, you've got to find a good deal. And I probably should say a really good deal, not just a good deal, because you've got to be able to buy the property, you've got to be able to fix the property up, and you've got to get as much of those closing costs into that loan, and that's got to be under 70 or 75% of the after repaired value. So that's kind of the first step in this process. That's the one that's overlooked the most and forgotten the most, but that's the first thing you've got to do in this process is you've got to find that really good deal. Before you find that really good deal, you've got to find a hard money lender that's going to work with you, because you've got to find a lender that's going to be willing to fund the purchase, the rehab, and the closing costs if you want to do a 100% financing Burr. Now, that can't always be done, and sometimes you will have to come up with some costs, and sometimes it can be done. So then what happens is you found your good hard money lender, you've gone and found a really good deal, and then after you found that really good deal, the next step is for you to close on that. So you go through, you get your you work through the financing, you work through the processing, and you close. What's going to happen is you're going to get construction bids and construction through the process. That'll be part of the processing of getting that loan to make sure it really is a good deal based upon what the contractor says as well. Then you're rehabbing the property. And as you're rehabbing the property, you want to make sure it's getting done on time and on budget. Now, one of the things that most hard money lenders are going to require if you're doing a Burr deal is before you close on the loan, they're going to ask you to go and get pre-approved with a takeout finance lender. Okay, so this is going to be some bank or mortgage broker or institution. You are going to have decent credit and decent income. The nice news, though, is the income that you're getting from the rental can offset the rents, because there's this thing called debt to income ratio, meaning how much debt you have versus how much income you have. Well, if you can use the rents from that new property that you're buying to offset it, it helps offset that debt to income, which really helps people qualify a lot better. So what you're doing is the hard money lender is going to say, we need to know who's going to do the takeout financing for you, and we need to make sure you're approved, because we need to make sure you have good credit and that this lender is confident that they can get you a loan once the property's fixed up. So you're going to get a pre-approval letter from them. Then you're going to get all that you'll close, then you'll get all the construction done on the property, make sure it's on time, on budget, and then once that's done, as long as you have that pre-approval letter, you'll get the blessing from the lender to then go and find a tenant. Now, in most cases, the lender is going to want to know who the tenant is, know the tenant has a good background, make sure that the rental contract is for a small time period, 6 months, maybe a year, and so they're going to want to see all that type of stuff to make sure and give their blessing on it. Once that happens, you're going back to the takeout finance lender, and that takeout finance lender is going to work on getting an appraisal, and then they're going to work on getting the loan closed. Now, here's what they're typically doing. On a takeout finance lender, they're typically willing to do 80% of the value of the property at that time. And so this is what's really important as we talk about these refinances. You've got to make sure you find a lender that doesn't have any crazy what are called seasoning requirements. And seasoning meaning how long you've owned the property. You see, some lenders are going to say, we won't do a loan unless you've owned the property for a year. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't really work for me. And some lenders will say, we'll do a loan as a refinance if you've only owned the property for 3 months. That's really good. Then the next question we want to ask the lender is, are you going to be going off a new appraisal value, or are you going to be going off my purchase price? Because this is how the whole Burr strategy works, is I want to make sure that you're willing to lend me a percentage of the then property value. Because I bought a property that needed work, I put money into it and fixed it up, and now it's worth a lot more. I want to make sure you're willing to lend me. And lots of lenders out there will lend you 80% of that new appraisal value, as long as it's been 90 days since the time you made the acquisition and you've made significant improvements. One of the things with those significant improvements is they, lots of cases are going to want a line item of what exactly got done to the property so they can justify that in some before and after pictures. Now, one of the great things is if you're working with a reputable hard money lender, they're going to be requiring that as well, so you'll have the package all ready to go. So the Burr strategy is, then I refinance and for 80%, and that should give me, if I'm into the property, if I got a loan for 75%, and then I've got some interest to a hard money lender, that should get me out for about pretty close to what I put into the property. Now, if you do end up having to leave some money in the property, that's okay too, because you'll still be getting a return. These deals where you put nothing are hard to come by, and it really goes back to my earlier statement of finding those really, really good deals is the key to all of this. Then what happens is you refinance that property, you already have the tenant in there, you've got the cash flow so you know how much you're paying on the loan and how much you're getting, which is this whole Burr strategy, which stands for buy, rehab, rent, and refinance. The idea is a hard money lender is coming in and getting you the money to fix up a property that's in need of work. Once that's fixed up, because that's a short-term high-interest loan, then you're refinancing into a long-term low-interest loan. You already have a tenant in place, and that tenant is in cash flowing, and you're doing all of that with putting as little to no money as possible into the deal, so your return is as high as possible. That's really what it comes down to. But you're going to need some players to make this happen. First and foremost, you're going to need a great hard money lender that's going to work with you on this, because if they won't lend you the rehab, and you're going to have some of your own money in rehab, and that can add up really fast. Secondly, is you're going to have a good loan broker or a good mortgage company. One of the people you need to talk to is some credit unions. So if you're wanting to do the strategy, find that good hard money lender, and then you're going to have to call around and find a good lending resource. And unfortunately, every state's different, every credit union's different. So check out your credit unions, talk to your mortgage brokers, talk to some of your banks and say, hey, if I am refinancing, how long after I bought the property will you be able to do the refinance? And you're hoping that they're going to say 3 months, no more than 6 months. Second question is what loan to value will you go off if I've improved the property? Are you going to go off my purchase price, or are you going to go off the new appraisal value? So that's the next question that you're going to want to ask. And once you find those out, then we're working on finding that really, really good deal. You go through the loan process with the hard money lender, get pre-approved with the takeout finance, the refinance lender, to make sure you know what that is. Make sure you've done your research on rents, so you know it's going to cash flow, you know what your takeout financing. Now, if all this doesn't go well, you can get yourself into a little bit of a problem because you've put a tenant in the property. So you want to make really, really sure before that tenant goes into the property that your takeout refinance lender is 100% confident this is going to move forward, no questions asked. They may need to have DP or LP approval already, meaning it's already approved and it's not a question of are you going to go through, it's just a waiting time to go through the process. So if you have enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. It means a lot to me, and also consider subscribing to our channel. Okay guys, so here's something interesting that you may not know. Back in the day for me, one of the things that I did is I used some special loans to get these 100% financing. So I would do what's called an 80-20 loan. I would get an 80% loan for the first and a 20% loan for the second. And they were high interest on the second loan. And they also back 20 years ago had stated income loans, so they didn't have to go through and dig through all your financials and all that type of stuff. And especially being self-employed, it's a little difficult, and it all depends on how you slice the cake as to how much there was, which gave me the ability to buy a whole lot of rental properties in a short period of time, because I didn't have to come up with 50,000 or 100,000 on every single property. So I can tell you from firsthand experience, using this Burr strategy, buying these properties and holding onto them for long periods of time really makes a lot of sense. I can also tell you there's some ups and there's some downs. The market's going to continue to climb, and then there's going to be some dips, and then it's going to come back up. And so over the long term, if we talk over the next 50 years, real estate will be worth more than it is today, but there will be some peaks and valleys in between with this. So this Burr strategy is a great way for you to start getting these passive income rental properties and doing that with as little cash as possible out of your pocket. Now, if you'd like to get a rental calculator that'll help you determine what makes a good rental, what makes a bad rental, absolutely for free, I'll send you the one I recommend and use. All you got to do is text your email address to 435-294-0433. Just text your email address there, and I'll send you over a rental calculator absolutely free. I've also got a video on how to refinance a Burr property, so check that one out as well. I've got a blog post that you can read. I'll link it in the comments below. How to find Burr properties, our favorite 9 strategies. Please, like I said before, don't forget to subscribe and make it a very profitable day. Bye for now.